Welcome to the Progress Daily Show. Today is the first episode, and it's very exciting because we have Peter McKinnon. He is a legend. He hit 2 million subscribers on YouTube in less than a year with educational content nonetheless. Now, these podcasts are brought to you by ProgressDaily.earth, a website giving direction and daily tips on self-fulfillment and creating real change. Making a significant impact today is much easier than you think. Now, in this interview with Peter McKinnon, we dive into the subject of his family, his patriotism for his country, what's coming up next, how we got to where he is today, practical tips on how to become a successful videographer, a photographer, and the work that he's doing with Casey Neistat coming up and all the other big projects and collaborations he has in mind. It is such a compact interview, so here you go.
Hello. Welcome to another podcast, aka the first one that I've done so far. We have Peter McKinnon. And I already did an introduction on Peter before this.
Oh, okay.
And I said a lot of nice things about you.
I hope so. I didn't get to review it, so.
Well, you don't have to because I want to say one thing right here. Peter, I'm going to hit you up with a compliment right off the bat.
I love it.
Okay. So when you meet a lot of people who I would say are as successful as Peter,
okay,
it's intimidating.
What? I'm intimidating?
It would be. It would be intimidating. But the second I met you in Canada,
yes,
it was like we were friends right off the bat.
Yeah,
it was an amazing feeling.
I agree with that.
It kind of leads to my first question.
Okay.
And it is, well, on your channel, you see a lot of videos about Canada. You're very outspoken about Canada.
Yeah, very patriotic.
Right. Why do you love Canada? And on top of that, what do you think about our little country, America?
Okay,
That's a
so
good sign.
someone asked me this on Twitter the other day, like, what do you love about Canada so much? And I don't know. I think it's that everybody in Canada like shares the same passion for it. It's just like this unspoken love and like friendliness. I love that we're known for being friendly. I love that we're known for just being like, oh, they're the people up north that say A and just are friends with them. They accept everybody. And I think everyone's kind of proud of that, like that we're known for that. And it's just like this built-in inherent patriotism that everybody has. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. As a photographer, it's like I have like the best shots I've ever got have been in my own backyard. I have traveled the world and the best photos I've ever photographed have come from Canada.
But you're all about the snow, right?
Yeah.
You prefer the snow over tropical.
Yeah, 100%. Like my wife and I have talked about this. She's like, all right, if we had the choice to live in the mountains or the beach, what would you choose? And 100% mountains all day, every day. And we got lots of those. So,
well, if you were, this question's gonna be horrible, but if you had to move to a place in America,
okay.
So you basically visited probably all over. I mean, we hung out in Wyoming.
Was it Wisconsin? It was Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, there you go. And then New York City, LA.
Yep.
I'm sure you've been to a couple of times.
LA, San Diego.
What do you like the most out of those fellas?
Okay, if I had to pick a place to live in the US of A, I think I'd go to like Montana or something.
What?
Yeah, like I'd go to like is that where the Sierra Nevada mountains are? Or
it could be.
Like there's beautiful mountains in Montana, lakes. It kind of like reminds me of like Northern Ontario, which is where I'm from. And I think that's probably why I would gravitate there. Like somewhere that's just kind of off the beaten path, no city, scenic, like Crater Lake. I know that's a different spot, but like that sort of vibe is what I would look for. Maybe Portland.
Portland, okay.
Maybe Portland, just because coffee and it's hip.
It seems like a huge element to your happiness
is coffee.
Well, yeah, actually, but is nature. It seems like if what are the 5 things? This is going to be probably a hard question to answer, but the 5 things that you believe consume the most of your happiness.
Family for sure.
Okay,
so my little girl, 100%. My little girl, my wife. Just honestly, family. That's why I've tattooed it on my hand so that I see it all the time, just as a good reminder, because it's the one constant, right?
And it's easy to forget family, and then you're like, boom, there it is.
100%.
Right.
So I would say family. And yeah, I never loved the outdoors as much as I do now. Like the older I get, the more I appreciate it. And that's happened with time. Like growing up, I was a skater as well. Like it was terrible, but I did my best.
That's awesome.
And skateboarding is not a crime. I had the hoodie, put the stickers everywhere.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't care as much about nature. I couldn't drive, so I couldn't really go explore, and I hadn't really been anywhere. But as I get older and the profession that I've chosen, you go looking for photos. You go looking for places to film beautiful footage. And I just started exploring my own backyard and realizing like, wow, I love living here. It's like, I don't even live in Toronto. Like I live like on a lake far away, and it's amazing.
So when you say your own backyard, you mean literally?
Yeah, no, like, well, my backyard, no, like my backyard is not an actual lake, but
Right.
like a stone's throw from my backyard is the lake and a series of lakes. And I can just get on my snowmobile and just mob them.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
You know, the other day I was just telling somebody that I can't really see myself moving anytime soon because I want to get into New York.
You just moved.
I just moved.
Yeah.
Right. But I
Fresh.
move every 6 months for the last 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
I didn't know that. That's stressful.
it's stressful.
I couldn't do that.
It just doesn't feel right each place I go though, right? Like if you found your place now, but if you ended up in 6 other places, you probably would be like, where's that one place? And then Canada's right there.
Is New York that place for you?
For me, New York has been that place, and that's something I want to talk to you about because today you've expressed your passion and love for the city. Yeah. I know you've been stressed, right? Because it's a whole different flow being in New York City, especially
big
you're
city
about
stress me
collaboration
out.
too.
Yeah,
but yeah, how's your day been, and sort of what was the experience with?
It's
that?
like I don't go to the city very often, even in Toronto, just because it's just huge, and there's the more like claustrophobic I feel like just like I'm not productive and I just want to get out and I start freaking out. So like when the streets are small and I drive a pickup truck, so it's not exactly ideal in like city traffic.
Right.
So that stresses me out, and like the amount of people and trying to find parking, and it's just always a little hectic when you come from somewhere that it's like it's all open fields. You know what I mean? Like I come from like I walk to the mailbox with my dog off leash, and it's just like you just hear the birds and wind. I don't think I've heard of birds since I've been here, but like, so then you come to New York City and you get it just amplified by like 100,000. Everything is so much closer and on top and stacked, and is like 8 million more people, and it's overwhelming. There's obviously incredible parts of the city. It's super cinematic. It's beautiful. There's amazing pockets, and as a cinematographer and photographer, it's endless to explore. But there's that like nature part of me that freaks out when I'm here, just because it's so opposite from everything I'm used to. So, but my wife loves it. Like she could move to New York City for like, we've even talked about it. She's like, oh, I could easily, in a heartbeat, I could move to New York.
What was your response?
I was like, well, see you later. Like big gulps, eh? Well, see you later.
That's so funny. Okay, so with Toronto, with New York City, this is weird. So me and you both seem to come from a place that's pretty open. I was from an area that was the opposite of New York as well. But for me,
where was it? Weren't you from
South Carolina?
So I love South Carolina. I used to go to Myrtle Beach all the time.
You're kidding?
100%. It's amazing. They had so many mini pie places in Myrtle Beach.
Why?
Because it was great. It was like you didn't have to go all the way to Florida, but it was still a beach. It was still like beautiful and like enough of an escape from like where we were from. And it was an easy drive. So my parents would drive down to Myrtle Beach all the time, and I'd bring a friend or go with my sister.
That is so
we would like stay at a hotel, and like my parents would walk on the beach all the time, and we would just like hit up the fireworks, because there were so many fireworks stores. We could buy like bottle rockets and black hats. So we brought footballs and basketballs. We cut them open because my parents wouldn't let me have fireworks. So we cut open the footballs and we stuffed them with like thunder bombs and black hats, and then taped them up and like smuggled them back over the border without my parents knowing.
How old were you when you were smuggling?
I was probably like 12.
That's so insane. So
12, 13.
That part of you that wanted to get out and go hang out with Colombia, I'm assuming that part of me with me was just much bigger. So with me, it was the opposite effect, where I wanted to be in a bigger city because I came from all that, rather than you being used to it and wanted to spend time there.
I've never had this. Like, there's a lot of friends I've had that have like wanted to move away and experience different parts of the world and globe, but I've never had that. I've never once had the desire to like leave where I've come from. I've never been like, oh, I just want to try the city, or even like I don't even live like very far from like the house I grew up in my entire life.
What do you think that has to do with it? Does it have to do with your spouse right now? Did you meet her at an early age?
No, like I mean, like my wife's from El Salvador, so no, definitely not because of her. I'm a bit of a homebody, believe it or not. Like I don't really like going out very much. I'm not even like a very social person. Like I am and I'm not. I'm kind of like the best of both worlds, in the sense of like, because I used to be a magician, right? So people always laugh because they're like, wait, you don't like going to parties or hanging out with people, but you used to like, your job was going to parties to entertain people. How does that make any sense? It's like I'm an introvert extrovert fusion combo, like Dragon Ball Z.
I feel like a lot of us are introverts, especially in the world that we're in right now, because we're YouTubers, and I feel like the reason that we film ourselves is so that we can sort of express some sort of extroversion.
I think so, yeah.
Out of everywhere, we talked about America, and I actually had another question about that, about a tweet that you posted. Anyways.
Yeah. What was the tweet?
The tweet was something about our current president. What is that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I met him once.
you met Donald Trump?
Yeah, I met Donald Trump at a David Blaine event.
Was it the
when
greatest thing?
I'd skipped out on work and came to New York, and I told him he was fired because I was standing next to him. And I shook his hand. I said, "You're fired."
Did he laugh?
No, not at all.
Oh, really?
I don't even think
He doesn't even have
I
a
don't even
sense
think
of
he
humor.
knew he was shaking my hand. Like he just like knew there was someone there who wanted to shake hands, and he just kind of like facilitated,
Right.
whilst still probably having another conversation. It was very very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how much does our news leak into what's going on in Canada? And
Yeah,
in
it's
other
like
places?
I'm not a political person at all. Like I don't really have interest in
Right.
politics. But the American news cycle like dominates our news cycle. It's almost like Trump is our president.
Is that how it is for the rest of the country as well? Is he just all over the place? all
He's
the
just
time?
he's just like, I mean, I think he just dominates the news cycles in general. Like from what I've seen, I obviously speaking from a very ignorance here. Like I
Right.
don't know because I don't follow it, but it just seems like it's always like I always kind of see it in the background. Like I'm always seeing people talk about his tweets.
Right.
I guess he's got like a thing for Twitter.
I don't follow him either, but I hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are, you're going to hear about it. And I
Yeah.
didn't know it was to the rest of the world as well. But how methodical do you think that is on his part to be so?
Oh, I think I would assume that it's very like it's planned.
Right.
He thinks it like it's for a reason. It's like specific. I don't think it's just random.
Right.
Because I mean, it probably would have stopped if it was random.
Exactly.
But it seems very like deliberate. That's
Right.
the word I was looking for.
And there are books that are written about his techniques that seem
Is
so
there?
casual.
There's actual books
there's
written about his
basically saying
tweets.
like he intentionally misspells words
Really?
because that's a thing that gets people to notice you more,
Fascinating.
and people will talk about you more.
That is so interesting. I love stuff like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm diving so much into it now is because with this platform, YouTube, that we're on.
Yeah.
Good transition. I noticed that like it's kind of hard to separate the idea of doing something sensational and insane when you're trying to grow on this platform.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. But it seems like you have done very well at straying away from that.
Yeah, I just like it's not that I just don't broadcast my opinions. I keep my opinions to kind of my content.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have no reason to talk about politics, and I have no reason to talk about anything else just because my channel is about photos and cinematography and vlogs and just having a good time. And like I just don't need to bleed things into my videos that just have no relevance or no business being in them.
Right.
Doesn't mean I don't like my opinion's not valid on those. I just
Or you don't have an opinion?
yeah,
right.
I just keep it out. I don't think it matters. So
And how long have you been doing YouTube?
a year.
1 year.
Like a year
and you're at how many subscribers?
It's like a year and 2 months now. I'm almost at 2 million.
You're
Yeah, that's crazy.
how much money exactly do you make?
Yeah.
That is so insane. And
Yeah.
and we've thought about the theory of Peter. Because
Really?
a lot of people on
Is that
YouTube
a
do.
thing?
Do you
No, I didn't know that.
do you see videos on YouTube come out sometimes that are like, this
see-
is how Peter made it?
Yeah, I've seen like one dude did a video like how Peter got to 1 million subscribers in
Seen
9
it.
months or whatever. And all my friends sent it to me, like everybody. I had literally probably like 45 different people sent me that video and were like, check this out, man. He's figured it out. And I watched it and it was very well done.
Was it accurate?
But the first thing, yeah, it was, for the most part, it was pretty accurate. But I remember saying to my wife, like, I didn't think about any of this stuff like he did. Like I just did it. It was all kind of like inherent. But breaking it down, I'm like, yeah, I guess that's right. Like, I guess I kind of do that. But it was really, really interesting that those are the things people pick up on. There's also tons of like how to vlog like Peter McKinnon or I am not Peter McKinnon. And
There's a lot.
yeah.
Do you see your style at a lot more places? And also, you don't have to mention anyone, but do you ever see your style sort of leaking into bigger YouTubers that people know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, I mean, let's use Casey as an example, right? Like, when we first started getting together, I was, like, kind of inspiring him for a better production value, like getting creamier shots and, like, using ND filters and more, like, cinematography techniques and stuff like that. Not that he doesn't know any of that already, but I think that's where I inspire him, and where he inspired me was, like, being a better storyteller. I just always struggled with like finding a narrative and being able to like properly construct a vlog episode that had like a point to it, that had like merit, that had like vlogging with intent, instead of just heading out for the day and being like, I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here. Hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you. Why did I even shoot this today? So I think a lot of people, and you can see it in my comments, are like, wow, it's so cool. Since you guys started hanging out, I can really see his production quality like increasing, and we can see your storytelling getting better as well. And then you get the people who just don't know that, and they're like, you're a Casey wannabe. Like,
which is
if I wear Ray-Bans, I get like hate in the comments. If I ride a skateboard, like it's.
And Casey's been open about being influenced by you. He's said it multiple times on his channel.
Yeah. It's like, it's funny because like I almost feel like sometimes people that watch the videos or the commenters or trolls or whatever we want to call them, they almost like to try to create some sort of like false drama, like
like they don't even believe it themselves.
Yeah, it's like you guys do know we're friends, right? Like we text out like all the time.
And by the way, this is Casey Neistat. He has 9 million subscribers.
Yeah.
He pretty much influenced a huge wave of YouTubers that are. I mean, if you guys haven't heard of him, most people would have by now. But I mean, I did want to dive into that with Casey because isn't that why are you here in New York City right now?
Well, YouTube put on the Creator Summit, so YouTube pick like. I don't even know how it works or how the selection process works. I think it's different every year, but...
Have you been before?
No, I've never been before. It was my first time being invited, but it was like their 150 top creators go to this hotel and they have like a little summit for them. They bring in speakers and like entertainment and kind of give you time to mingle with the other people they've selected there and, just rub shoulders with other YouTubers and like-minded individuals and creatives. So that was happening, but like I don't get to come out here all the time because I have a family and like
and as much
as I love it here, as much as I travel, like I still like being at home. Like I said, I'm very much like a homebody. Like I don't enjoy the traveling process, but I enjoy the locations usually that I'm in because they're usually mountains. But
right.
So when I get here, I got to make the most of it. So I've just been like trying to collab with as many people from the area as I can. So that's why I'm here, was the Creator Summit ultimately, and then to try and fit in stuff like this.
So you add a few more extra days on your trip to see how many collaborations you could fit in?
No, actually, I didn't add any extra time. I skipped a few things that I was supposed to go to make videos with my friends.
Really? And you've been going all day today too?
Yeah, I've been going all day today, all day yesterday. But like, I just think like while I'm here, make the most of it. Sleep is not a priority. Like get the things done that you should do, and you can sleep when you get home.
Right.
Yeah.
How important is collaboration in growing your YouTube channel?
I think it's more important for just you as an individual. I think like forget growing a channel altogether. I think it's just important to be able to create with other people that create, because YouTube, and I've said this before, it's actually like the loneliest job I've ever had.
Really?
Because you're always, maybe before you're in an office or you work in a retail shop or you're working with friends and you get to know the people around you. And before this 7 years, I worked for a company that was basically an online entity and everyone worked from their homes around the world. So even that was kind of lonely, but I would Skype with those people on a daily basis. So like three people on a Skype call, 4 people on a Skype call, or just one-on-one for like 4 hours. So it still felt like you were working with someone, but with YouTube.
Sorry, what job is this?
We'll get into that.
Okay,
like,
I can't wait.
I basically worked at Hogwarts, but we'll
okay,
buckle up for this. But I still felt like I was working with people. But then here I'm doing tutorials and I go out, shoot some B-roll, shoot like a segment, like you might go skate and then do some talking points and then come back and edit it. And you may not have seen anybody or interacted with anybody all day because it's just like you're the single employee of the John Hill channel.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, I'm the single employee of Peter McKinnon channel. So it's super lonely. So I think collaborating with people is like going to a convention for skateboarding. You're like, oh, I'm with a bunch of skaters and we all share the same passion. Right. And so like when I get here and we hang out and we're in New York and we can talk about the same things that stress us out being YouTubers. And I think that's important, aside even like these things are fun and it's fun for your audience to meet me and my audience to meet you. And I think that's cool because people can see a different side of creativity that has nothing to do with photography or cinematography, and they get to see how you perceive the world and art, and then vice versa for my channel. But I think it's better for a person's like just like soul than it is for like numbers.
Right.
And numbers help. Like obviously depends who you collab with. I mean, Sarah's got like amazing experience with like Casey blowing up her channel, and like I got 100,000 subscribers from Casey in a day.
Did you?
Yeah. So like there's obviously benefits with collaborations, but I don't think that's where the train stops. I think it goes much further than that.
And I will say, when I first started my channel, it's funny because I wanted to create something different in my world, which I feel like I did, and then all the collaborations, like I thought then that it was all collaboration. I thought once you create the good content, like you
have to collab. Yeah.
Right. I figured that. But you like right off the bat, right, did very well.
Yeah, and I didn't collab with anybody. Like the first collaboration I did was like Sean Duras. Probably, I mean, I think I was nearly 500,000 subscribers at that point, like maybe just below it when I like first had another YouTuber like that on my channel.
And how fast did you get to 500,000?
Well, if probably like less than half a year. I still worked my full-time job right up until like 400,000 subscribers, and then I was like, I should quit. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So okay. So we'll just break into that real quick.
That's right.
I worked for a company that bought and sold secrets from magicians, sold them to other magicians for a profit. And then we made like custom decks of cards and all kinds of weird paraphernalia. Like we made this thing that went viral everywhere. It was like a flamethrower that would strap to your wrist and is like activated by a remote and would just shoot flame balls,
right,
fireballs and smoke devices and stuff like that. But essentially, I break it down this way. If you've ever seen David Blaine or Chris Angel or David Copperfield, like they all perform tricks and everyone's like, how did they do that? Our company would like create those tricks and then sell them to other magicians to perform. So like if you came up with something that was amazing, you're like, Peter, look at this ring. It's gone. It's in your shoe. And I'm like, how did it get to my shoe? And you're like, I'll sell it to you. I'm going to sell you the rights or we'll pay you a royalty for it. And then when we finish that deal and the contract signed, I would fly to where, if you were in South Carolina, I would fly to South Carolina with my team. We would film like a trailer, like a YouTube video, B-roll and trailer and of you performing this on the street to different people. And then we would do like an explanation, which is just like a tutorial, like talking points, talking through how it works. And okay, when you hold the bottle cap in this hand, make sure it's in your fingertips. If it's in your palm, it's not going to work. So when you grab that bottle cap, make sure it's right here. Now from this point, you're going to pretend to put it in. So like that would be like a tutorial. And then we would sell that online as a digital copy or a physical DVD, and other magicians would see that and be like, I want to learn that trick, and it's $20. They pay the $20. They get sent the DVD or the download code, and they learn it, and that's how we made a huge business.
Really? I'm already thinking of holes in it. Has anyone ever been, no, you can't take it, and you're like, well, we already figured it out.
Yeah. Well, there's been times where people are like, the community doesn't work like that. Like everyone's very respectful of other people's like art and creations and stuff. So like if you were like not willing to part with that, we might like try to like offer you more money or work different deals out. But if you were just like, no, even though like we knew how to do it, you still wouldn't put it out because the community would just jump all over you for theft of something like that. Like their intellectual property and proper crediting with magicians, they are insane with it. They'll be like, actually, you have to take that off your site because that was published in the 1976 version of the Jinx magazine, page 13, column 3, by a magician once named this, where that was first seen, and you used that move without credit in this, and you're like,
so the community polices you guys from making any bad mistakes.
Yeah. They'll let you know right away. So I did that for 7 years. And then we created custom decks of cards with like Bicycle and the United States Playing Card Company. And I was the photographer and cinematographer, so I'd shoot all the projects and I would do all the product photos, which is why I have so much experience with that. So when people come and they say, well, how did you get your channel so big so fast? Like, how did you just start making videos like this quality? And I was like, well, I've been doing it for 7 years just with this company. And before that, I was shooting weddings and shooting my own stuff. And like the explanations, I would help creators in the magic world, like do a tutorial. So I'd give them talking points and help them with that. So when it came time to just do my own videos, I've already been doing it forever. So I just did it for myself.
Well, that's the thing though. Like so there's a lot of filmmakers who I think get into YouTube, but they still don't pop off that way. They don't ignite like your channel did. How important, if you had to maybe give it 100%, how much percent goes to storytelling as opposed to actual skill at filmmaking? For you, how much do you think?
I don't even think it's for me. I just think it's like, just in general, I think it's 50-50. I mean, story is the most important aspect. Like I when I give talks, like I often say this, you're walking out of a movie theater, right? It's that 5 minutes after the movie ends and you're walking out and everyone's judging the movie. Like everyone's talking about the ending that just happened, or like, what did you think? And like, you turn to Sarah and you're like, did you like it? And I turned to my wife and I'm like, hey, what did you think? And you never hear feedback like this. You never hear feedback like, yeah, those slider shots in the bathroom when that fight scene, they were a little like jittery. Like I think that slider could have been a little smoother, or like the key light when they were having that interview at dinner. I didn't like how strong the rim light on his hair was. Like, I feel they could have probably pulled that back a little bit. The things you hear are things like, I didn't understand it, or I fell asleep, or I didn't like the ending, or that didn't make sense, or I feel like they forgot one part. All story-related issues. Everyone's complaints of the movie always has something to do with the story. Never the cinematography. Never like that should have been on a tripod, or it was too shaky, maybe with the exception of like Blair Witch or something like that back in the day. But almost always it's a story-related issue. You're like, oh, Inception had such a great ending because it was such a good story. Or you look at something that had a terrible ending and you're like, what? That's it? Who wrote that? Like, how does it just end? Like, it's terribly unsatisfying. So it's always story-related stuff. Someone falls asleep in a movie, just like they were so bored. They were so lost, like you weren't able to actually hold someone's attention that they fell asleep during a movie. That's so crazy to me. So I would say story is far more important than cinematography or filmmaking.
Well, where do you think you got that, though? I mean, with 7 years of experience, it would be 7 years. It would seem like all the experience goes towards filmmaking, since you're creating content for a company rather than telling your own story.
I think it's kind of like a perfect storm at the right time. I mean, when I started YouTube, all my friends were telling me not to start it. They were like, they were like, you missed the boat, man. Like, there's so many YouTubers already. Like, you're just like another one of like the how many people trying to start a YouTube channel. Like, you should probably just try something else. And then one friend, Chris Ramsey, was like, dude, when's the last time you made something for you? I was like, I honestly don't know. Like, I've been doing this magic stuff for so long. Like, I don't even remember how to use a camera for myself. And he's like, just make a video. Like, you're always doing those camera hacks. Like, just do a video, like some of your favorite camera hacks or whatever. That's the video that ended up popping and getting like the most views of any video that I have. But I think it's just like a combination of, I was doing tutorials and vlogs, supplementing like a niche on YouTube that like, until like I kind of arrived in other people as well, it wasn't being filled. Tutorials were super boring, or like the voiceovers were like, it was like an automated computer that someone just like typed in the explanation of how to do something on Adobe, and it was just always really bad. Like, you would open up a tutorial and just be like, this is just, I can't believe I have to sit through this. Just get to the part where I know, like, I just need to know how to turn the audio down. Like, please just, how is this so terrible? So then I kind of started adding like a vlog aspect to tutorials with personality, with cinematography and production value, and like hitting a niche that hadn't really been hit before. I think it was just like the perfect combo. People were like, I like this. This is really easy to learn. I've just got this like knack for teaching. I think it just all kind of melded together into this like perfect baseball that I was able to just crack like perfectly, right?
Right. Well, how did you decide after making that first video with zero talking, all hacks, all teaching? Yeah. There was this formula for the first video and it popped off right away.
Yeah.
How did you decide from there that you were going to add some extra flavor? How did you decide to add the talking and the vlogging and then whatever else you added?
Yeah, I mean, well, that comes from the background as well, just because like the structure for like the job I used to have would be like, all right, John performs the trick, we show it in the street, we make like a cool little B-roll segment for it, like a really flashy trailer, and then we go back to the studio and then John explains it, and then we do an intro and the whole explanation, then the outro, and then it's done with like a little bit of an ending. So I just followed the formula I'd been doing for my job for 7 years and applied it to photography, and it worked kind of the same way. So it's super easy. It was just that video popped, and then I thought to myself, well, I should do another one because people are coming to the channel to watch. Like, there's nothing else for them. So, well, I don't know, how to color grade fast. Cool. Put it up, drop the thumbnail in there.
So there was no thought in looking at other titles or looking at SEO?
I didn't know how. I just started making videos, head down, just record.
Like titles, you had no concept of what would do well.
No. And the more I did, the more I started thinking like, oh, this makes a difference. Like, I should actually put some work into the title. Because as you know, we're YouTubers. You could have the best video in the world, but if you mess up the title and the thumbnail, it's useless. And it's unfortunate that it dictates so much of the success of our work.
It does.
And it's very unfortunate, but like, and that's where clickbait comes from. And I know people that aren't YouTubers are always very critical of clickbait, but it doesn't come from a place of us like desperate for views. It's just like, we work really hard on our videos, and if this is the landscape that we have to play in, then we have to play in it. And I'm not going to apologize because I clickbaited you.
You don't even do it that bad though. You've never done it. Really.
I actually really love clickbait. Like when someone clickbaits me, I'm like, oh, good work.
I think it's hilarious.
You earned that
I think
click.
it's funny. And I think
it
adds to the meme.
And that's why I love
it.
like David Dobrik stuff, just because like he just has embraced the clickbait and made it his brand.
Yeah.
And I think that's super smart. But yeah, I've never been upset when someone clickbaits. Like I just laugh it off. And I'm like, oh,
well, at this day and age,
it's over.
You can make a skit.
What does that mean?
You can make a skit based on whatever clickbait you do. So you can be like, I don't know, my wife is pregnant. And then you can literally make a whole skit about this one thing. And it's like, and if it's funny enough, nobody even remembers that it was like, that they were tricked.
Yeah. The first time I clickbaited anything really, really hard was when I did like my first collab with Casey. And I was like, I'm going to clickbait this just like he clickbaits his videos, all lowercase, he doesn't care. And just his face in the thumbnail. And it's just like, everyone was freaking out. Like, oh, what is this? What's happening?
What does he not care about?
It's funny how people love negativity. Like if I do like GoPro footage looks bad through the roof. If I did that same video and was like epic 4K GoPro footage, nobody cares. They're like, oh yeah, cool.
But what happens if you keep it consistent? I mean, like there has to be a line where it's like if every single video is like
a clickbait video,
right? Like all this sucks. This guy's dumb. This guy.
Yeah.
I feel like after 4 videos,
then your brand starts like, wait, this guy's just like a negative, depressing dude, and
yeah,
you got to be like strategic with it. You got to be. It's got to be like meaningful clickbait.
Right.
Like I only use it when something in the video actually happens. So like if you fell on your skateboard and you broke your elbow, I might write like, could this be it for John Hill? Because I'd be like, and then in the video, I might be like, I might say something to support that title. Like, do you think you can still skate with a broken elbow, or is this it for you?
Yeah.
And you might be like,
could this literally be it for you,
like, does
John
that
Hill?
affect like how you are able to balance on a board? And you may be like, no, man, this isn't it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
But then it's justified. The title's justified, and it still has relativity to my content. So I'll never just clickbait like John Hill punches officer in the face. And maybe it's just a joke of you being like, oh, imagine I punched that guy in the face.
You'd be like, oh, thanks for the title and thumbnail.
That's a little too far.
Right.
Yeah, but definitely, I mean, I always say to people like, don't complain. Like that's the landscape of YouTube right now. We're not doing it because we don't have confidence in our content getting views. Without it, it's just kind of how it is.
Speaking of confidence, before you did YouTube,
yeah,
your magic career, you said the business was doing really well.
Yeah.
So you had a steady, good
I had
job.
a full-time salary, been paying the bills for 7 years, like nothing to worry about, great boss, great employees, total freedom, work from home.
Well, what made you feel like you wanted to try something else if you were doing so well?
I think it was just getting complacent. I was just getting bored. Like I'd just been doing it for so long. It wasn't a challenge. Decks of cards would arrive. I would take the same photos, the same places, using the same props, maybe change it up a little bit, shoot that way instead of this way. And you know what I mean? Like when you get complacent with anything, it's just like you start to develop that like yearning for something more to creatively like satisfy that like hunger for like content creation. I just wasn't getting that. And my wife could see that. And she was like, when you started the job, like the first few years, you were still looking for like freelance stuff. You were still taking on projects with your friends. She's like, you don't do any of that now. Like I haven't seen, like, I don't even know when the last time you like went out and like just took photos. I don't even know the last time you did that. And I was like, wow, it really has just consumed my entire creative life. And that's where that whole conversation with Chris came in, when he was asking me like, when's the last time you actually created for yourself? So it came from a place of like just needing to do more, needing to do something different. And I've been working my whole life to just work for myself,
right?
Which was probably the biggest motivator. Like from day one, I've just been trying to be self-sustained, work for me. I'm the boss. I decide everything. And this was the perfect answer for that. I decide when I upload. I decide what I upload. I decide when it's done. I decide everything. And that's why people always ask me like, would you ever shoot movies? Is that what's next? Shooting movies? And like, no, because I would just be like a camera operator. Like even the director, I still don't work. Like the directors don't usually shoot the movies. There's a DP doing it, an ASC doing it, not me. So I like the fact that I have full control. I often answer that question with like, I would rather be in a movie than actually shoot a movie.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
And like acting.
I would rather act in a comedy than action, like whatever. I would enjoy it so much more than shooting it.
Really?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit because I'm curious about this and I've been thinking about this for the last 10 minutes.
Let's switch them up.
Who do you watch consistently on YouTube?
Philip Defranco.
Philip Defranco. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I love him, man. Sup, you beautiful. He's just so great. Like, I love his consistency. I love that he's like stayed true to his format and like his devotion to deliver, you know, his news the way he like, you know, he really puts effort into researching his stories and being transparent. And I don't know, there's just something about him that I really, really like, and I appreciate the hustle, and I just want to collab with him so bad.
Oh, you probably will. I was gonna say, do you think about the subtle like progression he does outside of the film? Because you know he's building so many different things outside of that. Do you think that's in your head as you're watching him? Like, you know what? Proud of that guy for doing that.
I think I've just been watching him so long that like, yeah, I just root for him. Like,
right.
When he gets a win, I'm pumped, and you know, when he's down, I'm like, oh man, like. Come on, Phil, you got this, man. Yeah. You got this.
So that's what YouTube is. You feel for these creators, like they're your brothers.
Yeah, you get this relationship that you feel like you know them.
Right.
But yeah, so he's one of my favorites for sure. Obviously, I watch Casey, I watch you guys, but like, I
downstairs.
Oh my goodness.
Samuel Sheffer, another YouTuber, is screaming his
New York City, ladies and gentlemen.
He's playing Twitch live. Anyways, I'm sorry.
What was I saying? We were talking about who I like creator-wise, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I get sucked down the rabbit hole of YouTube.
Yeah, I do too.
So I'll watch Philly D, and then he'll be like, "Today in Awesome, check out this Deadpool 2 trailer," and I'll be like, "Oh, I haven't seen that yet." And then from the side, it'll be like Deadpool Uncovered, and I'm like, "What does that mean?" Clickbaited. Boom. I watch that, and then
It's
next
like a Marvel character interview, and
yeah, and I just keep going, and I don't know why. And the next thing I've watched that sneezing panda video like 100 times, you know? And I'm like, I need to go to bed.
How many views is that video at right now?
It's like not enough.
Right. God, and it's funny because like, okay, so one thing I was thinking is like, why don't we get a sneezing panda and replicate it, right?
Yeah.
On YouTube, do you ever consider just replicating content or thinking of almost an exact concept of someone else that has been successful, maybe on a smaller channel, and being a bigger channel, you can probably get away with it? Have you ever thought about that move?
There's definitely... I've never thought about like, I could get away with that. Like, I should do it. But there's definitely times I've seen smaller creators do something that I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. That would have done so well for me. I really want to do it so badly.
Have you ever thought they didn't execute it well, and because sometimes that happens where they just don't execute it well at all, and it's almost a disservice
and I'm
to
like,
the people
I
who are
should
watching.
collab with them. Like, my first thought's usually like, I should reach out to them and see if like they want to come on the channel, and like we can make that film together again, like a new version for my channel that I can like send some subscribers their way. There's a guy that's in the filmmaking industry, like within YouTube, and he's got a channel called DSLR Video Shooter, Caleb Pike. I met him at NAB for the first time a few weeks ago, and he's amazing. And he did a video about how to make a light box out of an IKEA table. And I was like, oh, that is so up my alley, like camera hacks. It has to do with video and photo, and I was just like, that is so good. I want to do it so bad, but he did a great job. It looks amazing. I don't want to rip him off, but it inspired me to like, okay, like I've got some creative IKEA ideas as well. Like how can I make a video? So then I made a video about how I used to go into IKEA and use all their pre-set up living rooms and stuff as like sets for photo shoots. So I'd bring products to IKEA, and you know how they have like.
How did you get away with that?
I just walk in with my camera and shoot everything I could.
Seriously,
did a whole video on it. Yeah, and I would just leave.
For the magic people?
No, it's just for me. Like if I needed to like shoot a watch, I'd go in and like put it on the counter because they have like they have a whole clean setup. Same thing I used like when I did stock.
That's a great tip for people.
Yeah, here's another one. Like when I used to do stock photos, I would run into model homes, like because you know they're selling a model home. It's perfectly clean. I would just shoot the whole house, get nice crispy interiors, and then upload them to stock photo websites and make money off those. Yeah, man.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I did like the same thing with IKEA. So it's like, that's my version of like an IKEA hack inspired from a totally different video that was sort of the same, but like the content is completely different.
Right. And at the same time, if you do a video that's similar to a smaller channel, I mean, do you think it hurts or helps more? I feel like it helps.
I think it would just help because it would just suggest that video, especially if IKEA is in there and he's tagged IKEA in his video and we're both photographers and cinematographers. Like his stuff shows up as suggested.
Exactly.
All ships rise with the tide.
Sure. Okay, so I have two questions. Okay, one about the influencers, because I feel like we didn't dive enough into who inspires you, because with YouTube it's like Philip Defranco, that's amazing. But do you get more inspired by people outside of YouTube that influence your YouTube work, or are you just gung-ho focused on YouTube right now?
I'm gung-ho focused on YouTube right now, but I'm really inspired. Like, it sounds cheesy, but I'm just inspired when my friends kill it. So like if Chris Howe is out there in Iceland, comes back and gets like just incredible drone shots, I'm like, oh, I love it. I need some good drone shots. Like, let's go shoot. Like, stuff like that. It's like when I see my friends succeed and make incredible stuff, it just pumps me up to just make incredible stuff again, or with them, or, you know, not in like a competitive way, because we all operate on like a what benefits you benefits me kind of thing. And, you know, it's better when there's no competition, obviously. But just seeing my friends who are great filmmakers succeed and just make great photos and great videos is just incredibly inspiring for me.
And just keeping it like a consistent collaboration and inspiration, as in, like, if your friends create something good, think of something that fits you that you might get inspired by with them, instead of thinking them as the competitor, because that's unhealthy very quickly.
Oh, very much so. So, like, I think it's important, like, creating a network of people around you, if you can, that do like-minded things, like we talked about earlier, like this summit, finding friends that do the same thing. Happen to have a lot of them locally, but we all kind of build each other up. So if you're having a bad day, that friend might be like, it's all right, man. Like, it's just one video. Like, you can't possibly make an incredible video every single time. You want to go shoot tomorrow morning, like sunrise down in the city, like we could get some great. And so it's just like nice having a support system from several creators that think the same as you. So yeah, I just get inspired by that. Like, just nice people doing awesome work.
Right, and now you have a crew of people. I feel like Maddie, Chris,
and
we
got our little dope squad.
Dope squad is the squad.
We're just kind of it came as a joke at first, and then it just kind of turned into this.
Is it because you're all fans of Dope, or is it like?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. No, I just assumed.
Maybe I thought, like, for once, like, it'd be funny if we all ran a workshop and called it like DopeCon. But then I was like, but that could be confused with actual dope.
Right. The people who show up might not be the people who expect to show up.
Like, Dope Squad is funny, but cool. Yeah, so it's just like Chris and Jesse and Maddie and myself and Dennis and another friend of ours, Alan, and all kind of live locally, except for Dennis lives on the far east coast of Canada. So
how dare he?
Damn it, Dennis.
You guys. Okay, so every single one of you create very high quality content, and on YouTube, it's always refreshing to see quality that's very cinematic do very well. Because even when I first started YouTube, I read this book, basically how to create a viral video or something like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And all the information it gave was the opposite. Well, minus the storytelling. It said tell a good story, of course, but was the opposite. It was like film it on an iPhone. Like, that was literally the recommendation in the book.
Like, why would I film it on an iPhone when I can film it on a 1DX or
that's very true,
or a Sony or a GH5 or a Red?
Right.
Look at Marquez, right? Like, he's shooting 8K videos.
It's so crazy.
I mean, just use what you have. Ultimately, story is king, so like it will prevail no matter what device it's shot on. I firmly believe that. But I really don't think there is a code to making a viral video. I think it just happens.
Right. And everyone with a nice camera, I mean, even if they were using iPhones in their footage, they would probably end up being very good videos. Like MKBHD, if that was all filmed on an iPhone, he would still be getting a lot of attention, I would assume.
Definitely. I really like it's always insulting too, as like a photographer or a cinematographer, when they're like, wow, you see a nice photo that they've taken, you're like, that must be a really nice camera.
Right.
And you're like, it's not that camera.
People are like, I wish I had that camera.
Or it'd be like the same thing as people being like, yo, that must be a really good skateboard.
Right.
And you're like, what? That isn't even this piece of wood with wheels that's concave and grip. There's nothing like, it helps, but like, you are the skill. It's not the board.
Yeah, I mean, there's other people with red cameras who vlog. There's other people with red cameras who have tried to make YouTube channels. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
It's proven time and time again. Like, there's people with amazing gear that make really crappy stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
if you had no limitations on something to create, I mean, right now you're actually in a pretty good location. I mean, you have all kinds of resources. You have companies that are willing to help you out with a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
If you had to think of an experiment, a project that you wanted to work on with zero limitations, I'm trying to go almost as far as like, yo, Elon Musk has your back. He can help build some things if you need to. What kind of project would that?
I've never even given anything like that thought.
Because we talked about something earlier, but so maybe you could just go with the thing that we talked about, you like a crazy project that you had in mind.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just trying to set the limitation to infinity.
Yeah, to be so beyond the idea that I had earlier. So to fill everyone in, like I don't want to give it away yet. We're cryptically discussing this crazy outlandish idea that I came up with that I wanted to do with a big company that has to do with mountains and helicopters, and it's absurd. It's actually absurd. And it would be like a really big undertaking, and it's one of the biggest things I've kind of dreamt up, and it wasn't even my initial idea. I've just like built upon someone else's concept. But I think like if there was no holds barred, I would love to maybe just like make a film maybe like about coffee, something where I could like travel the world to like a bunch of different coffee farms
Okay.
and really just like document the people who make it that are like just unknown.
Right.
And like shed light on the amount of work that goes into these things that we've commodified. And yeah, I really like that kind of stuff. Like that work. I did some work in Kenya that was amazing. And just seeing like the way these people live, and they're so happy and hardworking, and they just love life so much. And then you get back home and we're just worried about the weirdest things. But yeah, I really like exploring that kind of narrative. So like it wouldn't even necessarily be like something crazy that would cost like, we're going to go to Mars and we're going to bring the podcast to Mars. Like I'm going to podcast on Mars. Like that's cool. And it probably
cool.
go viral.
Right.
But I really want to do work that fulfills me.
Right.
So I think sometimes a lot of those crazy ideas don't necessarily fulfill me. They're just like, oh, that was fun. We pulled it off. Like, oh, we jumped from space. Super cool. Great
cool.
thumbnail. But I'd rather shed light on things that like matter.
Right.
I think that's the story. I think that's the filmmaker inside me.
So do you think that, I mean, so basically regardless of your resources, you can do right now the video that you want to make regardless of the resources. Like you would still make the same video that you would make with the resources that you have with whatever you can do.
Yeah. 100%.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of the same question where I asked a few people, I was
It's
like,
hard
$1 million,
question.
what would you do?
Yeah.
And they all
Save it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Save $1 million. Yeah.
I would
invest
just
in
save
other
it and
things.
then go to work
Exactly.
the next day.
Because it's like, you know, the ideas, I think a lot of people when they think of filmmaking and they think of YouTube, they think of as extravagant and sensational as the idea can be. But it really is, to me, it's been proven that the videos that do the best are just, I don't know, it's weird to say just good ideas.
Yeah.
But they're really just, you know, ideas that are different and weird.
Simple is always like effective. And they were talking about something today. There's this company called StoryCorps, and it's like this sound booth that travels around the US, and like people go in and record their stories with someone that they know, and then those are archived in like the National Archive of America something. So it's like preserved, and like your great grandkids could come in and like listen to a conversation you had with your dad tomorrow. And it's like this, I think their whole tagline is like preserving America's stories. And I was like, that's cool. So they played a few this morning of like this guy who was dying and his wife, and they're like just talking about like their first date or something like that. But very basic stuff, like nothing crazy, but like everyone was crying and like in the audience, and like everyone was so moved. And they played some other stories of this young kid talking about how he would take a bullet for his friends at school if a school shooter came in, and his mom was asking about how an active shooting drill, like how it works, and the kid's like, well, I would stand in front of the bullet so that all 22 kids could go home and just one instead of the opposite. And it was so sad hearing this kid talk about it, but it was inspiring with his courage, and they're very like simple narratives. Right. It's not like we're going to go with the podcast to Mars, because like you said, you always try to think of the most like intense, over the top idea. But it was these simple discussions that these regular people were having that were just such incredible stories, and we all have them. So like I would be happier focusing on like finding those and telling those types of stories than, you know, snowboarding off a mountain of caramel.
Yeah, because I'm also a firm believer in like everyone has a really good storyteller. It just depends how you tell the story.
Yeah, and how you find it and which one it is, and like remembering if you have a story, or it's a discussion with a parent that brings out a memory that ends up being a great story, and you're just reminiscing, which is the story. So there's so many facets with it. And it's just, I think people, this is what Maddie always says, I think people always, like when they say stories first, like stories king, like if you're making YouTube videos, make sure there's a story. And I think a lot of people always think that means like there's a hero and a villain, and like we must band together to defeat the villain. But it could be as simple as like John gets up, John goes to work, John trips over the same thing he trips over every day.
Well, actually, I want to ask that.
Story.
Yeah, explain to you or explain to me what story means to you, because that word is thrown around a lot.
It's an eye roller for me. People are like, make sure there's a story in your vlog.
Okay,
and
what does that mean? Right, and a lot of people
are like, you can't put a story in every vlog.
Right.
But it could be as simple as like, okay, we're gonna go downstairs to grab pizza. We could just stop filming now, and then the next shot could be us eating pizza, but if we wanted to make a story out of it, then like you need to like follow it along. We're going down the stairs, we're walking across the street, we're making an establishing shot. You talk about how often you eat pizza there, and then maybe I say something back like, how long's the shop been here or something. You're like, I don't know, but I eat here every single day. And then at the end, maybe I'm skateboarding by at the very end of the vlog and I look at that pizza place and I'm like, John.
Right.
But we've made a story out of it, and we've made that place a connection to you and then a connection to me, and we've both had an experience there, even though it's eating a pizza, and it seems very simple and a very, very straightforward line, but we made a story out of it. It doesn't have to have this like crazy mystery and plot thicken and none of that, but like it's more than just, hey, now I'm eating pizza. Hey, we're back in the office.
Right.
We've told the story.
What would that be, an update?
Yeah, it'd be like an update. Like, I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here. We've told the story of like going down the stairs, going across the street, this fighting the weather, like waiting in line, paying your money, eating it. How does it taste? And then back upstairs. And it doesn't feel like story very much, but that's exactly what it is.
Right. And doing exactly what he just said in any way isn't necessarily telling the story well, but that's the story.
Yeah.
And that's what, in your version of the interpretation of what he just said, that's the telling the story well.
Yeah. And it's just mastering that craft.
Right.
That's going to define great storytellers from just people that are making updates.
Well, with your YouTube channel, since it's Peter McKinnon.
Yeah.
That's the YouTube channel.
That's the name.
How have you considered trying to set up some sort of video concept of telling other people's stories, or somehow try to incorporate it? Because you've done it before. You definitely have. But have you wanted to sort of expand on that for your channel?
Yeah, like you remember that Kenya film I did?
Yes, definitely.
That was kind of like a perfect, that was like one of my favorite pieces I've ever made.
Link down below. Definitely check out that video. It is insane. Buffer Festival, right?
Buffer Festival, yeah. It's called The Bowl.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't know where I was going with the story. And when everyone kept asking me like, how was Kenya? And I was like, yo, check out this photo. And that's the one weird photo that I kept going back to, and it's what ended up being the entire story of that narrative.
Which was?
I won't spoil it, so they can.
Right. There you go. Check it out to see this photo.
But the one photo that I took was like it was kind of like the biggest memory of the trip that I had. It was like this bowl that was like cut up and sewn back together, and I used that to tell like an entire narrative of my experience in Kenya, and I'd love to do more stuff like that for sure.
And the sound work you did in the video was really good.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, how important do you think it is to incorporate or to actually work on the sound in a video, since most people, for sure, people don't even think about sound at all.
No. Like, sound is scary. Sound is scary for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people are just like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. And I totally understand, because it is like very finicky. It's also kind of boring sometimes, but your brain processes audio before it processes video. So just hearing something would remind you of New York. If you heard like a bunch of clips and they played another one, you might be like, that's New York.
And it
like,
would make me smile.
I'm back. And you'd probably be able to hear South Carolina. Just like I would know like the sounds of like Northern Canada, or the sound of someone's voice, or so there's a huge memory bank in there that you can tap into when you're watching something, so they pair perfectly. Like if you actually turn off, I think I did a tutorial where I showed that entire Kenya thing without any of the sound effects, and it's super weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just like it doesn't pull you in whatsoever, but when you hear all the sound design, you feel like you're experiencing the culture. You feel like you're right there in the footage. It's just like Transformers or any kind of Marvel movie, whatever. If none of the sound was there when like their gun cannons come out, it would just lose all of its effect. Like Iron Man puts his hand up and you get that. Like if that thing was gone, he'd just be, and it would just lose all impact. So it's a massive vehicle in also telling that story efficiently.
Well, sound design it's very confusing, and when you're starting off on YouTube, you hear it a lot, like with people with you. But how would you explain it to someone who's just trying to add sound design into
they're just trying to improve their YouTube videos. Yeah. I mean, it could be as easy as like if you have a shot of a car driving through the scene, just find an ambient city sound effect clip of just city life and throw that underneath the clip of the car going by. Now it actually feels like you picked up great audio of that city. And then maybe some birds fly by in the next clip. Make sure you get some wings flapping of like as they fly through. And maybe you get a hyperlapse of a church on the next clip, and you get like the church bells going, or like a ship horn if you're filming a boat in the bay. So it's pretty easy. Just match sound to the visuals that you're recording.
Right.
And
so it doesn't have to necessarily match the time. Like with the bells, it doesn't have to be a hyperlapse version of the
No.
bells.
Yeah. Like half my sounds don't even make sense if you saw them like separately, but like when you just hear it all as like a full piece, it just feels more finished than it would if there wasn't any.
Gotcha. Yeah. And you're insanely good with video, obviously, but photography.
Photography, yeah.
You're very good at that as well. And this is the question that I wanted to ask because I feel like a lot of people are wondering.
Sure.
A lot of people want to be photographers. Yeah. It's a very quick jump. It's like you take one iPhone picture and you're like, I'm a photographer. Let's do it.
I'm a professional.
This is
I'm
crazy.
going to shoot weddings.
Exactly. That is always the next step.
Yeah.
But with you, it's a loaded question. But where do you think it is that separates the guy who breaks through? What was it for you that helped you break through to become a successful photographer? Because you are.
Yeah, I think like being able to find and stay true to a style, an aesthetic. All the really great photographers that I know have a very distinct style. Like if I'm talking about them with my friends, I can just say a name and you can see like their entire body of work. Versus being like, John Hill's a great photographer, and you're like, I didn't even know he takes photos. Does he, like, what does he have? I haven't seen any. Or you talk about Brandon Wolfel is another Instagrammer that the second I say his name, like all the guys everyone that knows. Know photography, they're like, oh, neon, like
he's the guy everyone prisms, says, like, you're like, copying Brandon.
You're copying Brandon Wolfel, right. Yeah. But like I think working on developing a style like that, figuring out what it is that you like to shoot, be it that it's portraits or landscapes or food or whatever. Like Dennis, my friend Dennis, is known for food photography. So if I say to my friends like something like Dennis would shoot, they're like, oh, Dennis makes me so hungry when I look at his photos. Like his photos are incredible.
Nice.
So I think like working to find that is important. Right. And sometimes it takes forever. Like it took me like, I'm kind of the landscape guy and I'm trying to shift it right now actually to change up my style because I don't want to just be stuck to it. I don't want to be bored because I'm getting a little tired of shooting mountains and stuff like that. I love them, but I'm trying to get a little more like urban and lifestyle so I can photograph stuff everywhere. But yeah, I think it's just taking time to identify what your strengths are and then really sticking to something that makes sense for you instead of trying to emulate what other people are doing.
Right. But it's such an awkward balancing act to figure out because a lot of people think to be good at something, you have to expand on something that's been created. You have to be the newer, better version of something that already exists.
Yeah, because nothing's original. Yeah.
Right. But it's like, it's such a hard thing because you can go with that or you could think the other way where you're like, let's just be as quirky and ridiculous as possible. So you start shooting photos of your toenails and that's it. Yeah. But it's like, but the thing is like,
you should do that.
I should. I really should. but that's the hard part too with YouTube and with anything creative. Sometimes people just jump to, I mean, I applaud people who jump to that, but what advice do you give to someone who's like, well, you know what, I'm going to do as quirky as possible and shoot toenails.
If it makes you happy and it inspires you and you actually find value and like worth and you feel good about what you're doing, then you have at it. Be the best toenail photographer that there ever has been. And I think if you're pumped with that and you stick to it, then that's what you become known for. Like that could probably be a really weird art exhibit that would probably be somewhere
There's
in
a
Paris.
Foot fetish out there.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be a toenail fetish?
There probably is.
I'm sure there is.
But do you know what I mean? Like if you just commit being like, you know what? I love taking pictures of like paint dripping on walls in like different colors or whatever. I'm going to commit to that and do it in the most creative ways that I can, everywhere that I can, in different cities, in different countries. And I'm going to make a gallery about it. I could see that being successful. And if you just stick to it, instead of like flip-flopping around, that's where I think you kind of define, like the photographers that flip-flop around are just like, oh, I'll just shoot food because that's what's popular. Or, oh, dogs seem to get a lot of likes. Or, oh, I'll hang my feet out of the helicopter because we've all done it and it looks amazing. But there's nothing that's going to sustain your style by doing everything that's just trendy on Instagram.
You don't think there's a moment ever to bail from something that you're doing?
I think it depends how much passion you have behind it. I think if you're not truly passionate about something, then yeah, it'll just come across and you probably won't even end up bailing. You'll just never get anywhere with it. I think you just won't get the likes or you just won't get the views or you just won't even, like, you're clearly not in it for the right reasons.
I have noticed that the most relatable thing of any YouTube channel is I think anyone can almost watch any YouTube channel about anything as long as the passion is there for the person.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
when
absolutely.
I watched your friend Chris Ramsey.
Yeah.
All he was doing when I was watching his videos were magician tricks.
Yeah.
Magic tricks.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in learning magic tricks. Yeah. I think it's super fun to watch.
Yeah, of course.
But I wasn't interested. But for some reason, his passion and like how good he was at it and how much he was
into well-spoken. He's just like, he loves every minute of it and you can feel that. And then you love the love that he has for it. It's just like my cousin's a paramedic. You guys have seen him before. If you've watched any of my videos, he hates coffee and makes me very sad. But he has like no experience with skateboarding, but he like sits in the ambulance while he waits for a call and watches your vlogs.
That's so funny.
And Chris Ramsey watches your vlogs and he loves your stories. And he's like, I don't know what it is about John's stories, but they're just so great.
Well, I guarantee you half the people who are watching you aren't, more than half I would say, probably aren't thinking like, I'm going to be a photographer in the future. I'm going to be a videographer.
I'm going to make this my living.
Yeah.
Or even like coffee at all.
Anyone I run into who just likes like YouTube or watches any YouTube video, I can almost say like, you ever watch Peter? They're going to say yes.
That's crazy. All the time. I know. It's wild. And like I put out a poll.
And I'm like, I know him. I say that.
I tell people I'm friends with one of the best pro skaters in the entire globe.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I pump it up big time.
That's beyond appreciated.
Yeah. I'm like, Tony Hawk is just
what is a Tony
rolling
Hawk
in
anymore?
his grave. Is he dead yet?
He's not dead yet.
No, yeah. He looks close.
He's getting there. I would say I have 30 years left. Whatever. Sorry, Tony. If you're watching this, which you probably
we
are.
love you, man.
We love you. You're a great guy.
I used to play your video games
every second of every day.
I had that Tony Hawk board, like with the bird skull,
the Falcon 3 or whatever.
Oh, it was so great. I was just like, I longed for that for so long as a kid. And like, I would never want to slide it because I just couldn't ruin the art.
Right. When I first got sponsored by Birdhouse, one of the only things I wanted was that board.
By Birdhouse
for a little bit.
Oh, I remember my red Birdhouse shirt with like the blue bar
across
logo.
The entire
it was so great.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't know where we are in the time, and I still honestly have like 100 questions, but
100. What time is it?
Not literally. How long has it been?
I don't know. I don't know when we started.
11:33. Okay, I can cut this part out. Or maybe I shouldn't. You know what? Let's just continue. Here you go. Okay, because this is I have to ask this because I feel like a lot of people need to know. There's so many need to knows.
Okay, yeah.
Peter McKinnon.
Hit me.
Okay, setting up a YouTube video. You're like, yo, I got the good title. I got the thumbnail in mind. Where do you go from there? What's the process of setting up the shots in mind, and how you think of it different as the other videos that you make?
It's different every time. Okay. Sometimes I come up with a title first, which drives the whole video, which makes it really easy because I can just work off the title. Sometimes I just film something that I had in mind that I want to film, and then I spend more time trying to come up with a title because, as we know, it's very important.
It is, guys.
So it kind of like I never have one specific route that I take. Route, depending where you're from. I never go one specific way. What do you say, route or route?
I say route.
I think I say route too, but a lot of my friends say route.
I say route.
Like, what route are you going? I'm like, roots are in the ground, man. Like,
they are.
I go that route.
Yeah, routes are directions. Yeah. Roots, trees.
Roots. People eat roots in a salad. But there's never, I don't like to put labels on things. I don't like to have goals. I don't like to set specifics. Like, I like to fly by the seat of my pants. Like, I love it to be random. I love to just like go with the flow. And sometimes that hurts me. I don't plan a lot. My friend Matty plans all the time. Like, he has a shot list and he'll go out with like following his iPhone, not all the time either, but for the most part, he's very well planned and organized. And I'm just like, I guess I could wear the same clothes as I did yesterday and make these 2 days into one. And sometimes I think that's my strength, is just like keeping it fresh and random, and it makes it exciting for me. I think if I came up with a formula that I followed every time, I'd have quit long ago.
I think there's a perfect mixture somewhere there. I've been feeling that recently, where it's like you have to plan a certain amount and then you let the rest fly. But maybe it's subjective to each person.
I mean, maybe planning like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do a video about portrait photography, and I'll just figure it out as I go.
See, I think the good start is actually thinking of a title. Yeah. I think if you have the title in mind, you sort of have a
title concept.
Right.
That's a good starting point.
And I try, because sometimes if I'm feeling it, I'm like, yo, I'll write out the whole entire script. The next day, I'm like, I don't want to do any of this. And it doesn't really, and like I'll film a shot. I'm like, it doesn't even make sense to do that.
I think myself out of so much content too. Like if the more days that go by while I'm even trying to make something, I'm like, by the end of the third day, I'm like, this is stupid.
So you have a backlog of titles and thumbnails that you've.
Yeah, I've got like a whole hard drive of like half vlogs that will never see the light of day. Yeah, it's because like I start shooting a Q&A or I start shooting something and I get halfway through, then I get discouraged, and I come back to it the next day and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, that lighting was, what was I even thinking? And then I just
second channel.
And then I just end up going, you know what? I just need to redo this. And then I completely redo it, delete everything, or just keep it on that drive, and it just lives there for the rest of time.
Would it kill you if you had a second channel where
I couldn't do it?
Yeah, I was gonna say
I couldn't do it.
Right.
No,
it has to be. It has to be right for you, right?
I'm such a perfectionist and so meticulous with my stuff that's probably actually a downfall of mine, is that I'm too meticulous with stuff. Sometimes it's just a YouTube video, man. It's just a YouTube video.
But I think it's a unique enough quality to have to where it's going to help you stand out, because I think almost everyone else on YouTube is very okay with being like, didn't think of an ending, all right, pull out the phone, guys, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Ending of the videos.
Yeah,
done.
where I'll scrap a whole video if I don't have an ending.
Really?
Yeah. It has to feel complete. I have to feel at least like Chris said to me once, like, if you don't have like the butterflies, like that nervous feeling before you click upload when on a video that you're really excited about, you probably shouldn't be uploading it.
That is amazing advice. I'm sorry. That's something that I felt that the other night, and I was like,
and it's a great feeling to have. Right. You're like, I'm really excited. I'm nervous. I'm putting myself out there. This is different. I'm proud. And then if you're just like, upload, title, peace, you probably shouldn't have done it, or you didn't try enough about it, or you didn't even like it yourself. You're just so feeding the beast versus like actually making a difference.
That's so funny. With me, it's always like for me, it's the cringier the content, the more nervous I get, obviously. But every time I upload that cringy content, there's an audience for it. I mean, even because like the way you act in a video, you're doing it. It is you. You know, like, even if it's silly, it's you. So people, 100%. People want to see that silly, especially like it's very rare to see people who are totally like shameless and silly and crazy. And that's the joy of YouTube. I feel like a lot of times it's like you see people who will do things, who will act certain ways and be as crazy as you don't see in real life. I mean, it's like acting in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to think of concepts for videos, and I'm sure you've had your creative struggles, your writer's blocks, what's your process for getting
over that?
Yeah.
I usually try to do something completely unrelated. So if I'm like, I can't think of anything to go shoot for Instagram photos, or I have no idea on what to teach, or I got nowhere to vlog, it's raining, I'll just try to occupy myself with something completely different that maybe I'll find inspiration from. So maybe that's not even like watching a movie. Maybe I'll just go hang out with someone I haven't seen in a while and just like talk to them. Like, tell me about your life, man. How's things been? And I just forget about myself and everything. And they might be like, oh, I was driving my truck out through the woods the other day and this thing happened. I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, that would be a great video. And then it just hits me when I don't force it and I don't ask for it, it usually comes. If I force it and try to find it, it doesn't always work.
Right. I'm starting to realize I feel like 85% of the success that I've ever even seen has been from serendipitous.
Yeah, and like your videos that you think suck do the best, and the videos that you think are amazing do horrible. And it's probably because the videos that you think are amazing, you just put way too much thought in, which ended up like you getting way too much in your own head. And like that's like one of the most dangerous places to be.
And people want to see chaos a lot of times. A lot of times when you're messing up and things are ridiculous, people want to see that.
Yeah, they want to see real life.
Do you ever have a fear of losing what you have created so far?
Oh, every day.
Really?
Every day. I've got this like weird, undying, relentless stress that if I don't like feed the YouTube beast or meet deadlines or that I've created, which is super weird because you create your own deadlines as a YouTuber and then you get stressed out by them. I feel like if I don't meet those quotas, if I don't please the YouTube gods, then like everything I have will fall and crumble like a house of cards, and I'll be like back at my old job shooting decks of cards again. And I think about that all the time. And a lot of my friends are like, you don't need to upload 4 videos this week or 3 videos. I'm like, I have to stay relevant. And it's like, I know that that's silly,
right?
But it's still hard to overcome. And I think it's something that all creators deal with.
I think so too. And it is weird with you, especially because you have found so many different ways, I think, to monetize your life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that you have income coming sort of from a lot of different streams. So it's like in my head when I think about you being nervous about a video not going up that week, I think, well, you could not upload a video for, I mean, I believe 2, 3 years, 4 years, and you'd probably be fine.
I don't think that would work at all.
See, that's the thing. But I bet all of your friends would
that just stresses me out hearing that. I'm like, oh, I got to leave right now and make a video.
I think all of your friends would say the same thing. And people tell me that too. It's like,
that's so
because you're not dumping every ounce of money you're making.
No, but like I've only uploaded once this week. So it's, what day is it? It's Thursday right now? It's Thursday night.
I don't even know.
It's going to be Friday.
We're YouTubers.
It's going to be Friday in 19 minutes. But I only uploaded Monday. And like I have a half video sitting on my laptop right now from like another day and some of today that I'm going to try and fuse into one day. And it's been stressing me out all day because I know I need to go home, edit until it's done because something has to go up tomorrow where all my friends would be like, Pete, you don't have to upload it tomorrow. Like you can just save it for next week. Why rush it and like just do a half-ass job when you're tired at midnight? You're going to start editing to just to upload a video tomorrow for what reason?
That's a good point.
And I'm like, oh no, I have to. And they're like, no, you don't have to, man. Like, relax. Like, you created this deadline. You created this job. Like, you upload when you want, when you're ready. And I struggle with that the most.
I feel that. I mean,
that's my biggest problem.
Because if you really think about it, 8 hours or 24 hours after that moment, nobody's going to be
Gone
like,
anyway.
well, yeah. And people aren't going to be, well, I was going to say also, if you upload it 24 hours after that, people aren't going to be like, Peter, what? Dude, you were supposed to upload 24 hours ago. It's like,
what is wrong with you?
Right.
Unsub.
Because, well, do you have a specific deadline? Or are you kind of like...
I mean, like I try to upload like Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays.
Okay.
I usually miss one of the days. Like I've been having a
People are used to it,
consistency
I'm sure.
problem lately. And my 2-minute Tuesdays are always 17 minutes. And,
There you go.
And that's almost become a thing of itself. But yeah, I need to, and I think a lot of YouTubers need to practice just letting go.
And it's very difficult.
Very difficult.
Because it's just, I think it is such a cool thing to be able to do, man.
It's amazing.
It's hard to think about.
It's the best job I've ever had.
Right. And it's hard to think about.
But to preserve that job, you can't burn out. And you can't be unhappy with your creativity. You can't be unhappy with your content. And if you are unhappy with your content and you continue down that path, it's only going to go to a place that's just ultimately not going to work for you.
Absolutely. And this conversation can get darker and darker or lighter. We can do whatever.
No, I think this is a good conversation to have.
I definitely think so.
Yeah.
But I think about the other things in life, because YouTube will consume you. A lot of jobs will consume you, and you think that's sort of your entire existence for a little bit. One thing that people don't see a lot of, your family.
Yes.
Right. And I had the pleasure of meeting the wife.
Yeah.
The wife is incredible.
Yep, she loves you
super
guys.
cool. And Peter's kids are way cuter than my kids will ever be, because they're going to look like me. And
I think you're pretty cute.
Appreciate you.
I think you'll have cute kids.
Thank you. Why don't they make as much of an appearance in your videos when every other YouTuber would be like,
I'm just like, I'm not a vlog channel. I'm not a family vlogger channel. There's absolutely zero reason to put my family in my videos. Like I teach photography, I teach cinematography. I'm like, this is how shutter speed work. And people are like, show us your kid's face. I'm like, what does that, why? I don't understand.
Well, that's the pressure. That's the pressure a lot of people would feel.
Yeah. And I understand people want to know more about me as an individual, but that doesn't mean they need to see my kid.
Right.
So and she's so small. She doesn't need to be on the internet. Like she's a tiny little human. Like what if she doesn't need? She's learning how to like talk.
It makes sense. I mean,
doesn't matter.
Your friend Casey. I mean, he was showing his kid all the time, and then he stopped showing his kid's face. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's interesting.
I mean, some people are completely opposites. Like Sean's got a whole channel for his kid.
Right.
And that's their right, and they do what they want with that, and they're totally happy with that, and she loves it. She loves being on the videos, and I'm sure she looks forward to it, and that's super cool. And I got nothing against it. It's just a personal decision. Like I need to be able to like differentiate work and family. Like I need to separate the two. I want to be able to come home and have like family life.
Right.
And like YouTube is now at the office because I just got a new space. So like I want YouTube to live there, and like I just have family and normal life and like house chores and Woodsman Pete. Like that's like family, and you need a separation. If they blend too much, then that's just like a recipe for disaster.
I know. And now that you're saying that, I've never really thought about the extent of that, because I'll say this, no names, but I have met a family vlogger, and he specifically told me that he felt kind of guilty. He was like, yeah, I've showed my kid a lot. I've showed videos of my kid crying, and the video will explode. And it's like that
makes me sad.
Right. The consistency can't be, okay, let's see how we can make our kid cry every day. And that's not his formula.
Yeah.
But at that moment, he was like, I feel guilty that now there's this thing where a lot of people want to see my child cry.
Yeah, and like I see my
scary.
kid crying, and it just makes me sad. I'm like, why are you? I wouldn't be like, I'm gonna film this and throw it on my channel. Like, no offense.
Right. No.
Everyone has their reasons for doing everything. Those are just mine.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like it's scary, because with my channel too, I started off just showing all of my personal life as well. Mm-hmm. But family was something I was always scared to show, and I think that's the same reason why.
Yeah, I mean, like my dad's been on the vlog, my mom's been on the vlog once, like my sister's been on the her voice has been in the vlog. My wife's been in the vlog, like she was on the Buffer Festival vlog, she was in like another vlog, so like they have been in it. I'm not opposed to them coming in it like every now and then and being a part of the narrative, because they're a part of my life, and I don't want to act like, I don't want people to think I'm not married or I don't have a family, because I do. But it's just my line is the kids.
Right. You're not trying to hide them.
No, I'm not trying to hide them. I just think it's just has no it's just like we talked about at the very beginning of this episode with like politics and other opinions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They just don't have a place on my channel with my content.
Right. Did you go to college?
I did. I dropped out.
Really?
I dropped out with 1 credit to go.
That's so disappointing. No, I'm just kidding.
I think
so last semester?
I think it's 1 credit. I needed 1 course. And I think it's cooler to be 1 credit away than to have a diploma.
Right.
So I wouldn't even go back now. If they called me and said like, hey, you can just like answer this questionnaire and we'll give you your credit and send you your diploma, I'd delete it. I'd move that email to junk.
So I'm a 18-year-old going, Peter, did I watch your videos? Love you, because all 18-year-olds talk like that. They're like, yo, trying to go to college, but the thing is, I love photography, and I got 100K on Instagram randomly. I'm kind of killing it.
I'm like, well, then keep killing it.
Okay.
See how I did? See what I did there?
That's my blog. So if he was like,
I never want to advocate don't go to school, but I don't think in this day and age you have to. I think it's becoming more and more a thing of the past, and I think school. Gary Vee talks about this a lot. School's not built for people like us. It's built for people that are going to go into the 9 to 5. They're going to work those industry jobs. It fails creative people. Right. I did miserable in school. I failed all kinds of stuff all the time. My grades were like just barely above 50s, like all the time.
Right.
And a lot of my friends that did incredibly well are just working for like either corporations or stuff they don't even enjoy.
Right.
And I decided to go like my own anti-establishment path.
Right.
And like you probably are a bit of the same way. And now look what we do.
Right. And I'm going to play slight devil's advocate for a second. I think a lot of people do. They go to school and they think like I can work 9 to 5 and then I can literally do whatever I want for the rest of the time. I can watch TV, I can hang out. And the thing is, with our jobs, we can, but I don't know about you. I'm constantly consumed by what we do. I'm constantly.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time. I'm sure my wife is like, please stop talking about YouTube. But
so in reality, it almost seems like we've chosen a job that we love to do and it's amazing, but there doesn't seem to be much vacation mentally from it. It's not a bad job.
No, but we're like, I would say this, like, I don't want to just sit on the couch at your apartment, watch TV and just chit chat. Like we're hanging out right now, and we're making something cool that might benefit like even just one person, and make them a creator. And I feel like this is us hanging out, doing what we love. Who cares? We're sitting here in the middle of the night making a podcast.
Been 2 hours, and I probably should.
You probably should have shut the cameras off like an hour ago. But like this is cool, and I would rather have this than us just like.
Totally agree.
Meaninglessly sitting around because our job ended like 7 hours ago.
I agree. And that's like, I think that's an argument that a lot of people have where it's like, John, you really need to just relax and hang out. And I'm like, look at
and that's
my
not
videos.
taking away from people that work 9 to 5s and do those things.
Absolutely.
All the power to you. It's just for the type of people that we are, doesn't work for us.
Right. And it's like, it's hard to consider a lot of what we do work. Like me and you right now, I mean, this is technically a productive thing to do, I think. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but does it actually feel like work? Is this something that we're dreading?
No, because we love
like,
it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and when you have that passion for what you do, it just it never feels like work.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to give. Okay, I gotta wrap this up. Sorry, you're like a well of information. So it's so exciting for me to be here. But more of a practical question: if somebody was like, Peter, dog, I ain't got thousands of dollars. I'm really good at impersonating other human beings in this world.
I hear that voice all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They're like, I mean, they're a normal kid. They got $20.
$20.
And they want to create content.
What
would be your recommendation to that?
Borrow your dad's phone. Borrow your mom's phone. Borrow a camera from somewhere.
Oh, you're saying borrow.
Yeah. I would just say like whatever means you can get your hands on something. It doesn't mean you need to own it. Like if it's a friend's, if you need to rent your friend's phone for $20 that you have for a day, then whatever. Like if you're really passionate, do whatever it takes to make it happen. Right. My favorite photographer, Peter Lick, sold his van for his first camera. And now he sells prints for $1 million.
Wow.
A piece. But like he sold his van, sold his only means of transportation and where he lived to be able to afford a camera so that he could take pictures.
Right.
Might have gone real bad for him.
Right.
But what's the worst case? He would have just sold the camera and bought another van or whatever. And
I agree.
I mean, from there,
it's based on perception of like each person who thinks that a lot of people who think it's hard to get into filmmaking, they're like, well, I'm not the kind of guy who can buy a $25,000 camera. It's like,
you don't need one.
Literally is your phone.
Yeah.
Just use your phone.
Yeah. Just
use
do
a
what you
friend's
love.
Camera.
Just life's too short. Do what you love.
Yeah. Everything records nowadays. You can probably grab a Gatorade bottle and there's probably a camera in it.
Didn't Casey just do a vlog on like?
He literally did. Yeah. There's a water bottle with a camera in it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on the last couple of questions. Thank God. Because, okay. Can you quickly?
Are these even still recording like that? That's still going. We got battery there.
We're good. I have to ask this question because I think people need to know what it's like traveling to America.
Yeah.
From different countries.
Okay.
Didn't you have a bad experience with coming from Canada to America? And can you tell that story quickly?
It's a long story. I don't know how I could condense that.
Skip it?
I was checking luggage. I never check luggage because I just carry a backpack usually. So I went to check luggage because we were going to film a TV show. Like I was going to actually be starring in a show on A&E or Sci-Fi Network or something like that. So we were going to be gone for 3 months. So I had like tons of clothes in a massive suitcase, had to check it and go get like some sticker for it or whatever. And because I'd never done it before, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, where do I go? And how do I get my sticker? I'm trying to do my online check-in. And my buddy was like, I'll just finish your check-in for you. And you just go over there and give them your bag. And I was like, oh, okay. So I get back, gives me my boarding pass. And then we're walking towards the gate. And I was like, wait, what did you put for business or pleasure when it asks you why you're coming? And he's like, oh, business. And I was like, no, that's the wrong button to push. So if you push business going into the States, they basically think you're working in the States and you need a visa to work in the States, just like you need a visa to work in Canada.
So business, you're not getting in unless you have a visa.
Yeah. Okay. And that makes sense. This is the rules. That's how it works. So I had a Nexus card at the time, so I could just get through without talking to customs. I could just walk through, scans my eyes, and I'm done. Like I'm at the gate in like 2 minutes. You still have to declare what you're going for. So because he hit business, I was just like, well, I don't want to now hit pleasure and maybe some weird anomalies like didn't match up, like this guy's lying. So I was just like, business, fine, like whatever. I got through because Nexus, went down, sitting at the gate. My friend calls me like 30 minutes later and he's like, Pete, I'm outside. I'm like, outside where? And he's like, the airport. I'm like, why are you outside? Are you having a cigarette or something? And he's like, no, they wouldn't let me in the country. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I said I was there for business and they asked me if I had a visa and I said no and they kicked me out. Like, dude, man, like, we're not here for business. Just like, he's like, well, I mean, I gave them your name because they asked who I was traveling with. And I was like, oh, so within like 10 seconds of him telling me that, Air Canada page, like Air Canada paging passenger Peter McKinnon to, I haven't even told this story on my own videos. And 3 customs officers came up. One took my passport, one took my Nexus card, one grabbed my bags. I never saw my Nexus card again. I got kicked out of Nexus. They took my fingerprints, technically removed me from the States because I had already got through customs, like, you know how it works. Like I already got like past immigration. So I had to like sign a paper of like removal from America. Right. And then, removed from Nexus. And then for about 4 years after that, I got detained every single time I tried to come here.
And how many times do you think that would be?
15.
You get detained every single time?
Every single time. They go through all my stuff, go through my phone. No, I freaked out at them in Hawaii when I was coming from Australia with my dad. I was like, just ban me from America. I don't care anymore. And they're like, what? I'm like, this is absurd. I need a manager. And I was just like, I just freaked. Like, just like my screw just boop, popped. And my dad started freaking out with me. We were just both 2 angry Canadians just screaming. And then from that point on, knock on wood, I've never had an issue.
Amazing. I don't think people understand.
And basically, it's like literally, I just kept telling them for like the 5 years after that, like I hit the wrong button. Right. So my friend hit the wrong button, but I was just like, I hit the wrong button. Like literally, I hit the wrong button. And they're like, well, you work for an American company. I'm like, I work from home in Canada. I pay my Canadian tax. Like here's my return ticket. Like I don't get, come on, man.
Are you still friends with that guy?
No.
I wouldn't be either.
The guy that, he's one of my best friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got matching tattoos. Oh, nice. What does that say?
It's just our initials in the year we met.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. You must feel like you're one of your best friends.
One of my best friends, yeah.
Okay, 2 more questions. That's it. Literally. Okay, here we go. One is, do you know anything about 368?
I know a little bit about 368, yeah.
Okay.
Have you been there?
I have not been.
I was there yesterday.
Really? So 368 is actually the building that we're in right now. We work upstairs, but there's a new project forming downstairs. Mm-hmm. Are you filming anything for it? Like, are you working for it at all?
Not really. Like, I'm friends with Casey, so like I'm sure I'll stop by and see what he's doing, and we'll film videos together. But I'm not really like a part of. I don't really know what it is. Okay. Like
I've seen like he's space releasing as he's building almost, right?
Yeah, like
we're seeing it almost in real time.
Yeah, I think maybe he's just like figuring it out as he goes, or has a master plan that he hasn't fully unveiled yet. Mm-hmm. But like I've seen the place, I've seen the space. It's huge. There's like, and Casey's madly ambitious, so I know whatever he's gonna do, he's gonna put everything he has into it. So it'll probably be amazing, whatever it ends up being.
Gotcha. And is it too big of a question to ask what your plan for your space is?
No, I mean, like, it's just like, so I think I want an editor eventually. Cool. And I needed like an office to have that happen because like I was always working from home and I don't want an editor at my house, and I don't want to Dropbox my footage because I want to be able to like sit down with an editor and I want them to really like learn my style. I want to learn techniques from them and I want to work with someone. So I needed a place to do that. And then we wanted to start doing podcasts and just different types of content, like Maddie and I, who I share my space with. We wanted to start doing different types of content. So the next step, just logistically, logically, and everything, was just we need a place outside of our homes to like continue this operation.
Got you.
So it's just kind of like a cool space to be able to just be creative and like do whatever.
Right. And how important is that? Do you think everyone out there who's making content and creating things consistently should probably get a separate space?
I don't think it's as important as other things are.
Okay.
I mean, I got this far making videos in my bedroom.
True.
Essentially.
True.
Like a spare room of my house.
Right.
It's just like, I have kids. Sometimes it's noisy, or you get someone cutting his lawn outside or whatever,
Right.
and like fixing the sewers, or it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just don't want to work from home. You want to just like go to a coffee shop and work, or you want to go out and take a drive and clear your head for stuff.
Right.
So being able to separate that work home thing, I think, can help you. So I think maybe you get to a point sometimes where it's like, yeah, it might be a good idea to get your own spot so you can be creative in your own space and be inspired by those four walls or whatever. So I think it just depends on the person.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's this quote that's something around the lines of, the biggest thing to fear in life is getting everything you wanted. And it seems like right now you are getting so many good things, and it seems like a lot of things are adding up at once. What else is there? I mean, what else are you excited about? What else in the future is coming up? And do you find yourself every day pitching yourself?
Started.
Really?
I'm only getting started. I've got so many plans.
Okay.
I just want to take it. I want to take it to the moon. But I just want to be able to continue to have the
How
platform.
often do you reflect? Reflect on like the things that you have right this second?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day. And I know that everything I have can be taken away from me in an instant. So I treat nothing like I own. Like everything's ultimately meaningless. So like I try not to be controlled by like possessions, and I try not to be controlled by dollar signs or even subscriber counts or anything like that. I'm just try to remain grateful for what I have and the ability to work for myself, which has been the end game. So when a lot of people are like, what's 10 years from now? I'm like, just continuing to be able to work for me and be happy,
right,
and have a healthy family. So creative projects, yes, I want to keep going with those and do more ambitious and creative things and explore different avenues and flex my own creative muscles in every different way that I can with different people in different places. But ultimately my goal is to just work for me and be happy doing it.
Right. So right now you're very content with what you have, but you're very excited to what could potentially happen.
Absolutely.
And do you think it's like you're responsible for yourself to be like, you know what, since I now see how big I can make things, I need to take it as far as I can and see what happens.
Yeah, like I don't like people. So my friend, this is actually perfect. My friend does a lot of work with like J.J. Abrams and David Copperfield and Jimmy Fallon. One of his best friends is Neil Patrick Harris and stuff like that. And he's got like a huge opportunity with his business. And we were talking about my channel lately because he knows a lot of like merch connections. We were talking about hats and stuff like that. And he gave me statistics of like all the viewers that I have that are, you have this much reach more than Vogue on a daily basis. You have this much more reach than Nikon, Canon, and Sony put together on a daily basis. And he's like, you're telling me when you look back in 5 years and reflect on the reach you had, you want to say that, what did you do with that? You made hats. And I was like, yeah. He's like, anybody can make hats. We can make hats tomorrow. Like, how do we expand this beyond anything you've even like been able to comprehend with the reach that you have? Because you don't want to look back in 5 years and say, what did you do with that?
Right.
I made a hat.
That's very powerful.
Yeah. And it's not to be negative towards people who are just making merch or anything like that. That's ambitious. That's great. That's entrepreneurial. That's amazing. It should be done. But it is looking at the bigger picture, which is sometimes hard to do.
I think it's very difficult. And I think a lot of people, they don't do it because it's intimidating, but what they don't realize is not that many people are doing it. So there's so much room to think the extra craziness. Mm-hmm. The people think like, let's say someone like Elon Musk is so insane, but I mean, how many people are thinking at that level? Yeah. And I think that's what is required.
What makes them successful.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I think like you want to make hats. So I'm like, no, not with all those stats you just read me. Like I want to do something better, bigger, more meaningful.
And it's limitless.
Yeah. I don't know what it is yet, but I know that I'm looking for it.
And that was even my final question.
Yeah.
Was, what do you think is next?
I don't know.
Well, that's exciting.
I don't know, and I kind of like that I don't know, because it just means I'm open to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think with you, since I feel like meeting people as often as you are too, serendipity. It's like ideas are going to come to you from people who are working on separate things.
Yeah.
And based on the ideas that you have, collaboration, it's all going to work in your head.
It's all like a big spinning cog that just works. Everything works together.
And it seems like you jump on things as soon as it comes into your life. It's like this exciting idea, boom. It's like
I try to make hay while the sun shines.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to end the video.
All right, man.
All right, dude. So I want to thank Peter for joining in. And also, this really is like the first podcast, I think.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for making me your first guest. I hope this is a fun edit. It's going to take you a long time.
I might just leave it raw. We'll see. I gotta work on it a little bit because Peter's, your expectations are a little higher.
You do you, man. You do however you want.
But I do appreciate this. I'm going to do podcasts every single week.
I think you should.
There's great people in New York City. There's a lot of people stopping by. Still don't have
Everybody's
a title
got great stories.
They do. So I can literally pull anyone off the street and be like, boom, drop the good story. And
that might be a super awesome idea, by the way.
Start with Peter, and then
grabbing
the rest
someone
are just
random.
randos.
No, just like at any random time, just grab a random and be like, hey, are you willing to be on my podcast for 20 minutes?
That would be amazing.
Like, tell me about your life. What do you do for a living?
That would be amazing.
How interesting would that be?
My first idea was actually just to find people on the street and ask them. Yeah, that was my first idea for podcast. But
Things
Peter,
to think about.
I'm glad to have you. Sarah, you can come in. We're finishing up right now. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And if you want to check out anything we talked about, check out down below in the description. Show notes, is that a thing? Maybe there's a website for it. Anyways, Peter, thank you.
All right, man. Keep killing it.
Appreciate you. What's up?